good morning, welcome to Furry and Spoil. Today I'm going to be talking to you about dog poo. Don't worry, I won't be showing you any dog poo, but you can learn so much about your dog, their physical health and their mental health, just by being aware of when they go to toilet and how it is. I know it's not a nice subject, but it really is something that is so important in seeing how your dog is doing. If you own dogs, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about, and you know that you look at that poo all the time. Could you please back me up with this? Because there's going to be people who are new to the dog world who think I'm crazy. And I'm not. This is what us dog owners do. Okay, so we just got the boys here today, all sleeping. Harry over there. If I look under the table, I've got little Albert, and we've got Humps on the floor here. So not much is going to happen because they've had their lovely walk, they've had breakfast, they've been brushed. This is what happens now. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the different kinds of... Right, there's no getting around this. It's a horrible subject. It's messy. I'm just going to get on with it. I'm going to be talking about poo. Let's just get on with it. Let's just get over that subject, that fact. So, first of all, what you want, the ideal poo, is for it to be nice and solid, and you therefore can just pick it up with your poo bag with one hand. Nice and solid, nice and easy. That is ideally what you want. So that should be your day-to-day how things go. Sometimes if your dog gets constipated, what will happen is that it will be knobbly. It's often darker in colour and it's very dry. I'm going to go through all of these and then I'm going to go back through them and tell you what I do about them to sort them out. The next poo is that it's just soft. You can still pick it up. It's not so hard that soft that you can't pick it up. You can still pick it up, but it's a bit sticky. And when you put it in the bag, your poo bag, it actually will stick to the side of the bag. The next one is soft and runny. Now, soft and runny, what that means is that you really have, it is what it says, you've got a mix. So it's runny as in near liquid, but it's also, you've got lumps in there that are soft. It's a real mix of the two. That is something you'll see sometimes. Then after that, you've got just runny, just straight runny, and it's not liquid, it's like a thicker liquid, so it's sort of like yogurt, but it just comes out as a runny. There's no way you can't pick that up. It's very hard to pick up. It's just liquidy. After that, there's liquid drops, which, unlike the one before, which is sort of thick like a yogurt, it is just liquid. Just liquid. And it comes out in drops. After that, there is explosive diarrhea. Now, explosive diarrhea happens fast. Often the dog won't have time to get outside. It just happens where it happens, and it's explosive, and it will happen. It can happen like in one instance, there can be like 6 or 7 turns of it. The dog will often be running around because it's hurting them. And that, unfortunately, can be all over your sofa and all over your sitting room, as I have experienced. The dog will often be crying before that happens because they've got like tummy ache and it's painful. They also panic a bit because they don't know what's going on. And it's happening so fast and they haven't got time to get out to tell you they need to go out or whatever. And so that's a real messy, and it stinks and it happens very fast. Now I want to go, sometimes there will be poos which have got things in them, like sticks or grass, or if they've eaten anything they shouldn't have eaten, it can sometimes be in the poo. My dogs are terrible for trying to eat earplugs, at nighttime earplugs to keep noise out. They're terrible for trying to eat them, and they're bright pink, and sometimes if I think they have eaten them the next day, they'll often come out in their poo, and sometimes there can be blood in their poo. I'm just going to go back through again all of them and tell you what I do about them all. So obviously the first one's solid, that's great, everything's great. Constipation, right, so with constipation, but don't ever just pull a poo out of a dog's bottom if he's struggling, because you don't know what that poo is attached to on the inside. So don't ever do that. Just gently, very gently tease it out. And sometimes if they've got grass or sticks or stuff like that stuck in the poo, they can't get that out, and so you just have to and I do mean very slowly and very gently pull it out. And you'll often find just you helping them a little bit they'll be able to push it out. That is more of a puppy thing. That isn't something that happens a lot now as they're older. It's more of a thing that happens when they're a puppy, and we know what they're like. They're forever eating things they shouldn't be. And often then when they've been puppies, I've had to pull stuff out of them. Right, so yeah, that's constipation. Now, constipation I have only ever found to be caused by, so my dogs have hay fever tablets prescribed by the vets, it's all fine. But I find when they first go on them at the beginning of the summer, that can sometimes cause a bit of constipation. But it's really important that you take notice of what things in life cause your dog constipation and then avoid them. If your dog has constipation, so if he's trying to go to toilet and he's not able to go, he'll probably be crying and circling and he's not able to go. It might be a little bit out, but you can't get it out. The best way to get that out of him is to walk him, because the whole motion of walking him. I did have it once when Albert was little. Where's Albert? He's over here. When Albert was little, he ate a really thick stick and got very constipated, and so I went to put his lead on, went to walk him, and he couldn't even walk. It was so painful. So I was thinking, oh God, no, let's quickly get him to the vet and see what they can do. But luckily, just walking, the motion of walking and me gently pulling was enough for us to be able to get it out. But yeah, horrible thing. But in older age, constipation has only ever been caused by, like I said, when they first go onto the Piriton, the hay fever tablets for the summer, they sometimes can get a bit constipated at the beginning of that. So that's something to be aware of. If they've got soft poos, I find that does happen sometimes. I find that generally sorts itself out. They may poo, they may have a couple of soft poos in the day or whatever, but I find that generally sorts itself out. I don't get too concerned about that. Now, the soft and runny, or the runny, if that happens, I'm on it. If they have a day of, I generally find if they're soft and runny or they're just runny, that they go to poo a lot during the day. Being aware of how often your dog goes to toilet is really important, because anything out of the ordinary, well, it's out of the ordinary, and you need to be aware of that. So I know how often all of my dogs go, and they're really regular. They really stick to it, and it's really important. And then if they start going more than that, or less than that, if they don't go, then you just need to be aware of all of this stuff. If they're doing runny or they're doing soft and runny, I will, for one day, I'll be very aware of it. But for one day, I don't do anything. If it goes into a second day, walk with me, let me show you what I do. So we went to the vets when, I don't even know, when one of these was young. No, it might not even have been these dogs, actually. It might have been dogs before them. But, and they gave us this paste, and it was brilliant. It sorted the problem out right away. And then I just found that you can get it on Amazon. And so ever since then, I've been getting it. And this is it here. So I'm not being sponsored or anything. It's just what I use. So this is what it is. So Procholine. And as you can see, that it's a probiotic and a prebiotic paste to soothe the gut lining and firm up feces. Now, this is absolutely brilliant. So it's a natural product. So it's a clay. So that takes out all the horrible stuff in their gut. And it's also, like it said there, it's got all the it's the probiotic, prebiotics. So it's really good for the stomach. And it sorts them out no end. So you get it in this box, and then it comes in this like plastic syringy thing, and you just, depending on how much your dog weighs, it tells you on the box, you just turn that to how many mils you need. It's really easy, really simple, and then you just push this bit down, and you squidge it out into their, I put it into their food. They don't actually like it very much, so I make sure that it's really, really mixed into their food well. And then I will give them 1 tube of this. Sometimes what will happen is they'll both be squitty. I haven't had it yet where all 3 of them are at the same time, but these 2 can certainly be a bit squitty at the same time. And I simply put that down to the fact that out on the walk they've both eaten something or licked something or whatever, something that they shouldn't have done. You know what dogs are like. You know, you can watch them all you want out on walks. You do not know what they've licked. And so then what happens is I'll just get a tube of this and I'll just give them both till the end of the tube. I've always found that once you start the tube, day or 2 and you're completely sorted out. So if they've both got it, I'll just give them a tube. At the moment, Albert is on this tube, as you can see. I've had to use some. He was being a bit squitty at the beginning of the week, but so I did a day of him being squitty, and then he carried on the next day. So I remember that. So I do a day of squitty, and then the next day I'll start on the paste, and then so he had 2 days of squitty, and then the following day he was fine. The paste sorted him right out, but I will carry on till the end of this tube. What is really important is that each dog is different. I am not a vet. I am in no way medically trained or anything like that. This is just my experience with my dogs. There are times when your dog could have eaten poison or eaten something really bad out on a walk. And if he is being sick and really squitty, don't mess about. Get him to the vet. Don't. I'm talking about like I'm talking about just poos that are looser than they should be. I'm not talking about sickness and diarrhea at the same time and stuff like that. If their body is very clearly trying to get rid of something, take them to the vet and make sure that, you know, it's okay. What the vets can do is they give them an injection, and it's something that just makes them be sick. And so that if they have eaten anything that's really going to damage them, they can just sick it back up, and it happens really quickly. It happened to Albert once. I think he'd eaten, I don't know what he'd eaten, but we got back from my walk and he was so ill. He was just diarrheaing and sicking everywhere. And so straight to the vet, and they gave him this injection, and he just, even though he was being sick at home, it wasn't like, it was kind of like not proper sick. So when they got him to the vets, they gave him the injection and he sicked everything up. And after that, he was right as rain. So so let me just make this clear. This is about generally poos that aren't as good as they should be. And just a kind of a mild indication that your dog is a bit off. The other thing I always find with my boys is that if their poos are a bit off, they go a lot more during the day. So, like I said, Albert at the beginning of this week has been a bit squitty, and his poos have been they were really quite loose. And he normally only goes in the morning and out on our walk. He doesn't go any other times. He just goes out on our walk. And he was going out at lunchtime and going and having a really loose squitty poo. And so clearly something was wrong. But the paste has sorted him out really, really good. Another point I want to make is that a lot of dogs just have soft poos all the time, and the owners don't really know that that's not right because they've got nothing to compare it to. Like, they don't know that they should actually be harder. And whilst that isn't very good, it means that the diet isn't right, something's not right with the dog. But also it means that you're not clearing out the anal glands. So dogs' anal glands have got to be cleaned out, and so they're just in the beginning of kind of their bottom area. And when they go for a poo, they release a scent, and that scent, it goes into the poo, and then, you know, other dogs can read it and all of that happens. But if they don't get emptied, then they impact, and it gets really uncomfortable for the dog, and they have to be emptied by the vet. And often what will happen is if the poos are too soft, then the poo won't be able to actually make the liquid come out of the anal glands, and so therefore you could end up with anal gland problems. So if you've got anal gland problems, it could be that actually your poos are too soft, but not your poo, but, you know, the dog's poos are too soft, and you just haven't really you didn't have anything to compare it to. You thought it was okay, but actually it's not, because you need to make that poo harder. Now, I know people who, if this happens, they give their dogs carrots to eat, because carrots don't digest very well in a dog's body, and therefore it will do the job. But that's not the answer to the problem, because you've got to find out, why isn't your dog having a good solid poo? you know how much I don't like dry food. And I've seen over and over again people whose dogs aren't pooing okay and they're on dry food. As soon as they stop it and put them onto a wet food or home cooking, the poos just go to normal. Dry food is really, really bad. The other thing is that dry food causes excessive pooing. And at night time, you know, again, it's another thing is if I talk to people whose dogs are going to toilet in the night and it's causing all sorts of disruptive problems with sleeping and stuff, you can, you know, again, they're always on dry food and it just causes too much. And I think the other thing is that eating dry food causes drinking so much more, and then therefore they need to go out for that as well. So, you know, again, you know, dry food causes a lot of problems with dogs going to toilet. That's it. I think I haven't got anything else to say about it. Can you please comment if you have got any tips or any advice on this? What do you do if your dogs are a bit off? Because all dogs will be a bit off unless you keep them indoors in a cage all day and you don't ever let them experience the world. All dogs will be a bit off because the things they sniff out on walks are quite frankly disgusting, and so, you know, they will be a bit off sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the way life is with dogs. But yeah, I'd really like to know your tips, your advice, or even if it's just, yeah, my dog gets soft sometimes but it sorts itself out, or if you go to the vet, or any products you're using. And like I said, I use the paste and I love that paste. I think it really clears things up well, but I'd be really interested to know what you're using. And of course, if you've got any questions, you know, pop them into comments. I'm over on Instagram and Twitter, #FurryandSpoil. Oh, don't forget the dog walking photo challenge. I'm really enjoying that. It's just taking a photo of nature, not your dog, nature, every morning on your dog walk. And so you're really taking the time to actually stop and have a look at nature that's around you and what's going on around you. And I'm really enjoying it. It's really enjoying it. And I'd love you to join in with that. So, that reminds me, I put the photograph out this morning. I didn't do the #FurryandSpoil. But that is where they're supposed to be going, under #FurryandSpoil. And I'd really love you, or tag me in on it. And I'd really love you to join in with me and take pictures of your dog walk. And the other thing about it that really interests me is that I have viewers from all over the world, and I would love you to take photographs of where you are in the world on your dog walk. I bet it'd be really fascinating to see. So I'd really like that. That's it. That's everything. We'll have one last look. Darling little Humps, settling really well, doing lovely. And then we've got Harry here, fast asleep. And we've got little Albert over there. So that's it. That's my gang. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next video. I just want to add something to this video that I didn't really put in there, and I think it's important. Or just watch Humps play while I say this. Your dog going to the toilet is a real indication of how their mental health is. If your dog, so we have what we call excited poos, and that can happen often if we are out, if we've gone somewhere particularly excited for a walk, maybe if we've gone somewhere new, there's lots of people have said hello to the boys and there's been lots of other dogs to play with, it's all very exciting. They can have what we call an excited poo, and it's after their normal poo, but it just comes out and it's really quite drippy and hardly anything comes out. And that often happens if we've gone to a new place and it's particularly exciting. Something else is if your dog's nervous of something, that could be an indication there. If your dog is nervous of something, then his poos could be softer. He could just have a bad stomach. That's exactly the same as us. If we're nervous about something, then, you know, we can have a bad tummy. It's exactly the same. And I just wanted to make that point because I don't want you to just be thinking, well, my dog had a runny tummy today. I better have a look at, you know, what they're eating and all of that, because it could be something going on mentally. It could be how they're feeling about a situation, and it could be their only way to tell you that situation that they're in that's making them nervous or they're scared. If you've got a dog that's just generally scared, you might find that his poos aren't too good. Now with Humps, little boy playing on the floor here, you know, he's come from Korea. He's our rescue dog. At this point, we've only had him for 4 weeks. He's a really nervous dog, but he hasn't had any loose poos. Oh, he went on to some medication that didn't agree with him, and then he did, but that was definitely caused by the medication. So even though he is a very nervous dog, although he's coming along great, honestly, confidence is building really, really well. But he does have stuff that worries him and that he's scared of. And yet his poos aren't loose at all. They're really, really good. They're good, solid, really good poos. So don't think, oh no, my dog's poos are great, therefore there's nothing wrong mentally, he's not scared of anything. Don't be thinking that. It would be easy to think that. So that's that. I just wanted to come in and add that, because I don't think I made it all sound very physical, which most of the time it is. But I just wanted to add that. The other thing I wanted to add that I don't think I made clear in that video is, if, obviously not everybody is going to use the paste that I've used. And obviously that's fine, of course it is. But don't let loose, really runny poos or anything go on for more than a couple of days, because something is wrong. Just like ours, you'd be, I would be a bit concerned if I had kind of diarrhea for more than a couple of days. And I'm not one for running to the vets. I'm really not, because I think they over exaggerate everything, and they'll just, what I'm like about vets. But I think if your dog is having really loose poos more than a couple of days, you maybe will need to go, because they could have eaten something bad. Do you know what? There are some really sick people out there. People are putting poison down, particularly for dogs to eat. They're putting it into sausages and stuff and hiding it in the bushes where dogs eat. And, you just don't know. So just, don't take the risk. But anyway, so that's it. So I'll say goodbye again. You know where I am if you need anything. Thank you very much for watching. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next video.